You know, Zoom is awfully good compared to what our alternatives are, but Zoom sucks.
All right, so let's just meet and get rid of Zoom. And now, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Alan. It's good face to face.
Yes. On your talks, and you definitely kept travel advisors, you kept them informed, and they were encouraged by your saying there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that it's getting closer. And now, finally, I would say we're in the light a little bit.
We're there.
But it's a long journey, and there are other tunnels, hopefully not as dark or as long. What do you see as the new tunnels coming up?
So I think we're out of the tunnels, and I'm not going back in.
Okay.
I think we're done with that. I think it's going to take a long time to clarify a lot of things. So we're now sort of in a foggy area.
But you're saying clarification isn't the tunnel, it's just a clarification.
It's just a clarification. It's just settling down. We've gone through so long. It's confusing. It's what kind of travel restrictions are there. But we're done. We're there. We're operating. And I think it'll still be confusing because the rules keep changing, and because is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? The Delta variant is here. We're going to have other variants, but all of those we know where the ultimate end is. So I don't think we're going through another tunnel. I think we're going through a foggy patch, and at the end of the foggy patch, there is a bright day ahead.
I knew you'd have a metaphor. So it's a foggy patch now, not a tunnel. Okay, good. All right, so my next question is, in talking with Roberto Martinoli, he said, at a certain point you turned to him and you said, what do you need? What can I get you? How can we help Silversea? And he and Barbara Muckerman gave you a list, and they expected some pushback. None. Everything they asked for, you gave them. They were so thrilled. What's the difference between Silversea 2018 and now, in your opinion?
Well, I wish it was that simple but they really came with an exciting set of how do we take it forward. I think you know that the Royal Caribbean Group, our mantra is continuous improvement. We started with something that was really very good. We had to get through the tunnel, going back to your earlier metaphor.
Right, to get to the foggy.
But we had to be ready for the foggy patch when we got through that. Mm-hmm. And they came up with this series, started with what we called Project Invictus, and I think it's an inspirational name, and it was an inspirational program to raise the level. We had something that was very good. We wanted to make it just a little bit better, take advantages of the strong attributes we have, minimize the negatives. So this time we were able to put to good use. And today's ship you're on, the SALT process, the connection between sea and land, and the cultural immersion that entails, that's all that occurred over this period. And we had the time to work through the details when we weren't dealing with the coronavirus. So I'm glad that not every moment of every day was dealing with COVID-19.
Right. But you brought up a point. I have footage, so let's talk about what was it like to do a SALT kitchen.
Oh, that's right.
It was a SALT, not the kitchen. It was the lab.
It was the lab, and I cooked. I have to be.
We have evidence of this.
And I have to say, in all due modesty, I cooked brilliantly. Now it helped that and I did.
If everyone could have it cut up and put in front of them to do, that would help at home.
Yeah, but I want to make it clear that I did better than Roberto, and I did better than Jason, at least as I judged it. Right. But it does help that they laid everything out in front of me. They pre-measured everything. The parts that were difficult, they actually pre-cooked, but we don't have to mention that to your audience, and that's just our secret. But it was so much fun. And what it was, when I actually saw the ingredients, I said, I don't like any of these things, and I'm not a very adventurous eater. And I don't see how these things fit together. And at the end, it was fantastic.
There's a gestalt that happens.
Yeah, and I must be a great chef.
I wanted to talk about the fact that Silversea is ultra luxury, and Lisa Lutoff-Perlo is working very hard to make celebrity luxury. Could you tell our travel advisors how to speak to their clients about the difference between luxury and ultra luxury? You know,
this is something I've dealt with over my entire career in the cruise business. People want to divide things into good, better, best.
And why?
And that's not the right way to approach it.
Well, you do have to land the right client on the right product.
You do have to, but it's much more subtle than that. Look, sometimes I want to go to an Italian restaurant. Sometimes I want to go to a French restaurant. You can't tell me one is better than the other. And this is a unique product. It has such cultural immersion as well as just the chance to go to so many destinations. It has the extraordinary service on board. But celebrity, I mean, I've just gotten off of a celebrity ship. I mean, my God, if I could spend my day comparing which is better, which do I like better, I can't answer that question. Yeah. They're different for different times. And but it is important that the travel advisors really need to be the one to educate their guests on that. And so this is where you're...
About the differences, not which is better.
About the differences and where they go and what they do and the style of service. And that is something, and it's a subtlety. And it's the French have this expression, je ne sais quoi. I don't quite know what it is, but I know it when I see it. So I think the best thing is to experience it. That's why we've invited you and so many other reporters.
We're telling the story.
And you are, and everybody I've met has just been blown away by how extraordinary this experience is, and that's the message we need to get across.
We feel very protected on this bubble. Even I love. We're going to show the buffets and how you walk in and there's an automatic hand washer that's we're going to showcase. Cool. Is very cool. Everybody's there. I mean, the pleasure of seeing a lot of food out is still there. But there's no reason to be handling it. It gets brought to you, and we're going to show all that. What would you say, though, as a filmmaker? I know that film budgets go up 20% just to cover all the protocols for this new normal. What would you say Royal Caribbean Group's budget has gone up just to cover the new normal for that particular segment?
So the interesting thing is that it hasn't required as much change as many other industries because the cruise industry already had such a high standard before this started. You know, I laughed when I read some of what some industry people were doing we clean this.
Yeah, we already do this.
And we've been doing that for 25 years. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. There is a cost. Actually, the bigger cost has been the capital cost that we've invested in the air conditioning systems and in the medical centers. Right. Right now, the biggest cost is on testing.
Right.
But most of the other things, and I think the comment I've gotten from so many people, is just how normal the experience is. Once you're inside the bubble, it's very normal. And that was our objective. Create a bubble, create something which is safer than you can do on land. Mm-hmm. And then you can carry on as normal. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's going to really help the cruise industry.
Right now we're on a ship where everyone's vaccinated, and so the sky's the limit. We're going to all these ports, no problem. There are some ports where you can't necessarily ask even if you're vaccinated, but you have a simple workaround.
Well, as you say, in most of the places we sailed from and to, we require vaccinations from everybody who can get it. That gives everybody on board a great deal of comfort. That also it really does. I mean, it helps make sure that cruising is safer than what you would do on land. Right. It also makes the countries that we go to feel better about it. So that's part of what's driving cruising. Now, in Florida, there's a rule that says that we can't require that of everybody. And we comply with the law.
Right.
But the vast bulk of our guests want to be vaccinated, and so they are. Mm-hmm. And the relatively few number that don't want to end up being, we go through extra testing, extra protocols of cleanliness on board, extra insurance to make sure that if they do have it, there is a way of getting them home. Mm-hmm. And the result is that we actually end up with some unvaccinated, but it's such a small number that it doesn't bother anybody.
No, but it almost feels the same. I mean, with that much protection for the unvaccinated, it almost feels like the same bubble I'm on now.
It does. And in most of our cruises, even out of Florida, we're at 90+% vaccinated, and we intend to continue to do it that way.
You want to talk about some new ships that are on the horizon? New things coming up? I mean, we're in the foggy patch, but that's going to go away too.
You know, I always love to talk about new ships because it's always very exciting. But we've got the ships that we've got and the ships that we've been taking. We forget we've been taking ships over this period. We've taken 4 ships already during this period.
Right.
This is actually my first naming ceremony since the beginning, and I'm very excited about that. But we've been taking delivery of ships, and I was just on the Odyssey of the Seas, which is about to start her maiden voyage. We did Celebrity Edge and Celebrity Apex. Here we are on Silver Seas. So the new ships are coming, and the new ships continue to amaze our guests, and you should try them out.
We have over 90,000 travel advisors now watching, waiting to see what's next. Any words of advice?
I think the most important word is congratulations and thank you for sticking with it. You know, it would be very easy to throw in the towel. It's been a terrible 18 months for all of us, but frankly, especially for you, where the future was so unclear. I think we're finally at a point where the future is now very clear. The direction we're going is clear. It's still another few months of fog, but I would say thank you to all of your listeners who have stuck with it during this period, continue to make sure that their business was strong and viable, and I think based on what we're seeing in forward bookings, that's going to pay off for them, and if it pays off for them, it'll pay off for us.
Thank you for communicating all through this and for communicating with us now and in the future.
Alan, thank you very much.
And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.